What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is The Flash, Season 3, Episode 6, and now I want to see the next episode. They really left it on quite the cliffhanger. And it was a brilliant little build-up for the episode. It wasn't... It was kind of funny because as I'm watching, the title of this episode is Shade. So they introduce this new villain, Shade, into the mix. And I'm thinking, okay, this could be interesting. There's this guy who apparently is a shadow, and he's killing people as a shadow. Okay, that could be very interesting. And then he shows up once at the beginning to kill a guy. Shows up again at the movie theater where Joe and his date, and then Cisco and Caitlin and HR, they're all there. So he shows up there, the Flash shows up, and then they stop him. I'm just like, well, that was kind of weak. I feel like you could have done so much more with that. And then I look in the little time bar, I'm like, oh wait, there's still some time left. What are they going to do? And it's like, because Wally is suffering with the alchemy stuff, I'm like, there's no way they're actually going to go see alchemy this episode, right? There's no way they're actually going to be able to stop him. And they don't, but they do find him. And this whole... I'm okay. I need to be a bit more focused because, frankly, I'm all over the place right now trying to think about what just happened. So let's talk about first some of the side stories going on that didn't go all the way to the end. So first of all, you've got Caitlin and Cisco's little arm things disappear that are supposed to control a metahuman's power, and so he blames HR for it, thinking, he's messing with my stuff again. Finds out that Caitlin took it. She tells him, I'm getting Killer Frost powers. I'm turning into Killer Frost. Cisco vibes her to see what's going to be in her future, and he vibes them fighting. And of course he doesn't tell her about it, and then he does tell her about it, and then decides... I don't know, it was kind of weird because I understand where Cisco's coming from. I understand what he means by we can't lie to each other. We're a team. We're supposed to talk to each other. We're supposed to figure this stuff out. I get it. But the thing is, when he first vibed her, he saw that they were fighting, and he lied to her about it. He said, I didn't see anything. So it's kind of hypocritical from him. And while I understand he didn't want to worry her, he didn't want to make her think, oh, I need to leave right now, at the same time, don't lie to her and then force her to tell the truth because you don't want her to lie. That's very hypocritical. I feel like, I don't know, it didn't really work with his character because I expect more from him. Especially what we saw at the beginning of the season, everything that happened with his brother, I expect him to be a lot more respectable than that and honor the fact that she doesn't want to tell the team yet. Well, you didn't want to tell her about you and her fighting, so you should honor that. Even if the team deserves to know, you should let her decide when to tell them. You shouldn't force her to tell them about it. So that was the one issue I had with this episode. But ultimately we see that they kind of make up at the end, but it is a bit worrying for both of them to think that she might be becoming Killer Frost. She still doesn't seem evil at all, but yet she has the powers. It's kind of a question of, is she going to actually turn evil when she gets the powers, or was it whatever happened to the Killer Frost in that on Earth 2, is that going to be like what caused it? Because you really look, the two Caitlins are complete opposites. Like, even now that she's got the Killer Frost powers, she's still not like that Caitlin on that Earth. So you really have to wonder, is she even going to become Killer Frost, or is she just going to get the powers for it? So I'm kind of curious to see where that's going. But anyway, that storyline kind of ended with them making up. You've got HR, who is trying to find something for him to do because he, even though he wants to work with the team, he wants to give them the ideas, he also wants to find a purpose for himself to be here. So he's like, let's open up S.T.A.R Labs Museum so that people don't suspect that we're working with the Flash, blah, blah, blah. He wants to be the face of the company. They tell him Harrison Wells is wanted on this Earth. So he has like this little light-changing thing that changes his face. It's actually kind of cool. Like, at first, when he first did it, I'm like, seriously, this? But then you really think about it, he's from a different Earth. It kind of makes sense. So, I don't know, it is interesting to see kind of the effects surrounding it. It's interesting to see how he uses it. The fact that he makes it to where the rest of the team can see his face, but nobody else can. Kind of cool, but anyway. So that happens. Ultimately, it kind of ends on a, he's out in the world now talking to people. So who knows? Maybe he will turn to Star Labs Museum. We see Wally is dealing with alchemy in his head. First of all, he's having the dreams about being Kid Flash. So alchemy starts talking to him. Alchemy starts, you want that life back. And of course, Wally, he wants to be a superhero, so he's like, yes, and Joe says no. And ultimately, I like how they handled that in this episode. Joe tells him no, he gets upset, which you kind of expect. He is a kid, he is rebellious. It makes sense he's going to be like, look, just because you don't trust me, like, is that it? And gets all upset about it. But then whenever Joe talks to him and explains, look, I know what you're going through. I know what I would have done at your age if I had those powers, and you're just like me at that age, and I'm scared of what could happen to you if you have those powers. So Wally kind of says, okay, yeah, I get it. And ultimately, it takes alchemy, like, forcing him to go through with it, constantly messing with his mind, making him think, you want this, come see me. And so ultimately, they have to lock him up inside the little, whatever they're called at Star Labs. I can't remember what it's called anymore. One of the little pods. They lock him inside there thinking, okay, alchemy can't get to him here, even if he can get inside his mind. And so they lock him in there. While Flash and Iris are there, Shade attacks. And it kind of made sense to me whenever they said this later. But clearly, Alchemy sent Shade to attack to get Flash out of there so he could get Wally to, come see him. Because it probably didn't expect Iris to be able to stop him. But either way, Wally tries to get out. Iris stops him. Everybody comes back. And Wally, still getting the visions and the voice in his head, says, let me go to him, and then you can be there and stop him whenever he tries to take me. So they set this all up. It's a good setup for the finale, or not finale, but the final part of this episode. It's good climax, good build up to it. So they get there. Wally goes in, Alchemy is talking to him, and then Flash pops in, chains up all of the followers there with Alchemy. And then Alchemy is like fighting him. Wally, you can see he's fighting, but you can see he's kind of hesitant to really get involved because, he is thinking about being Kid Flash still. Ultimately, Joe steps in, shoots down Alchemy with some sort of stun gun or something like that. But the stone that Alchemy was using gets knocked out of his hand. Wally sees that and hears the voice in his head, you want this, Wallace West, and you can kind of see that that's where the voice is coming from. Even though alchemy is the body, the rock that he's holding is what alchemy truly is. So you see that going on, but you also see that alchemy isn't, even though he's beaten by the Flash, he isn't really beaten yet for some reason. You're not really sure why. You're not really sure, why are you still so confident even though you've got all these cops around you, you've got the Flash standing in front of you. Why are you still so confident? Well, Barry sees something, and just this little lightning bolt is just like, what is going on? And nobody else sees it. It's just this lightning bolt that's going around. Barry doesn't know what it is. He's chasing it, and eventually gets knocked down. And then, of course, Wally, who was kind of standing off to the side, sees the rock, picks it up. The husk forms around him, so now he's changing into Kid Flash. And then all of a sudden, Barry just gets pinned to the ceiling by this giant hand. You look from Joe's point of view, he can't see it. And then Barry's like, who are you? And because I can't remember the name, because, I'm terrible with names. It was... It's funny, I look in Google, it's one of the top search things because people were asking about it. S.T.A.R, the god of speed. And it ends. S.T.A.R. So now I'm sitting here just trying to think about what the hell just happened? Because first of all, it's DC, so they do deal with god-like stuff. You know, Wonder Woman deals with like Ares, the god of war. There's another one, I think Neptune, like, is part of Aquaman. So DC has dealt with like mythical gods before. So to see all of a sudden this guy pops up, he's like, I'm the god of speed. It's like, oh, are you connected to the Speed Force? And it's kind of funny because I was actually having a conversation with a friend recently about, you know, what if Wally does become Kid Flash? And she was kind of like, you know, it just feels like Speed Force shouldn't be given out willy-nilly. It feels like you should earn it. Well, if S.T.A.R is behind the Speed Force, if he is the one who gives out the Speed Force, maybe in his mind he's working with alchemy because Barry changed the timeline. Wally had speed. He had it. He had the Speed Force. He earned it in that timeline. And then Barry changed it, and so now he doesn't have it anymore. So you could kind of see where maybe that's why. I don't know. Like, partially because I know nothing about the comics, so you say S.T.A.R got a speed, I'm like, ooh, who is that? You know, like, I don't really know much about the character, but it's got me intrigued because that is, I mean, it's a huge villain to bring in. It's not just another speedster. It's not just, oh, a guy with a magical rock. This is the god of speed. And while a lot of people have been complaining because, you know, Arrow, you have a similar Oliver type, you know, has karate moves, fights with bow and arrow sometimes. You have similar villain there. In Supergirl, you have other Kryptonians to fight. And so one of the complaints about the Flash is every season it's another speedster. First season Reverse Flash, second season Zoom, third season it looked like it was going to be the rival, and then they killed him, and it looked like maybe alchemy, ooh, magic. And so now some people might say, oh, well, they're going back to another speed villain. But this isn't just another speed villain. This is the god of speed. I don't know where they're going with this, but I'm curious. I'm very curious to see, like, not only just more about S.T.A.R, but I just want to know who this is. You know, is he really a god, or is he just somebody who is, I don't know, has a lot of speed, comes from another Earth or something? I want to know more. I'm curious. It looks pretty badass, so I'm excited to see more of him. But yeah, what a way to end this episode. It's got me excited for the next one. Can't wait to see how Barry's going to get out of this one, because it certainly seems like he's much more powerful than your average speedster. So we'll see what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What you like and dislike about this episode. Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Flash reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.